Yeah. Music in the background in my mind. I don't know what this thing is. But I see them doing in all those white chick kind of movies where they are best friends at a party and they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is it?
I
Comment
don't know. I
section.
don't even know what you're doing. Are you
Really?
really
Really, really, really.
ready for marriage? That's what we're talking about today. Are you really ready for marriage? There's the buzzword everywhere. This person is getting married. That person's getting married. There's this show, that Owambe, that DJ bursting your ears with the bedu
They
with
do
a
with a buzz brain.
brain. You know.
How do we
Anyway.
do all these things?
So people are so excited about this whole marriage thing, about flower girls. That's becoming increasingly unpopular anyway.
And people
Ring
don't do
bearer
training again.
and
Always
all
for
of
me,
that.
that's my husband. And
But
I.
there's still the this vlog, that blog. Are you really ready for marriage?
How
And
do you know that you're ready to say I do?
yes, so that you won't say I don't soon after saying I do. When you do, you must keep on.
Doing.
All right, we'll talk about that. See you in a bit. Welcome back, guys. So, we want to talk about, are you, not your cousin, not your brother, not your sister, are you really ready to marry?
Yeah, not your parents. Really, that's actually a
That's
point. Not
right.
say your parents or your friends.
Yeah, you
But
know how people say funny things like, hurry up, I want to come and eat jollof rice. And you're like, can you not go down the
Go
road
and
and
cook
buy
your own. Go
yourself
to Sweet Sense.
rice? People
and
say
buy
you want to
yours.
wear a shabi.
Go and wear. Go to
the market.
Go buy. Go wear to
You
church
know?
on Sunday.
So there's the pressure that comes with marriage. I've heard statements like, "Oh, a woman must not return to her parents' house after school, after university, except there is a curry bubble somewhere," and all of those kind of things. So for you, did you ever have that experience where people are now like, "Okay, so when are you going to bring the man home, or when are you going to get married," and all of those kind of things? And it comes from like that.
Fortunately, I don't think I'm a very good example to use. I met you when I was 18. Remember? So that was really
18, not 16, thank God.
okay.
And she was not a child. 18 is an adult. In fact, now 16 is adult in
Yeah,
most
but I
countries.
had boyfriend before you.
And so, what has that got to do with me?
Anyway, but I don't think I'm a good example in that light because I met you when I was 18 and I didn't have any other boyfriend after that.
No, but you know, there's one thing about, okay, you guys are together. Then there's now, so what are you people even doing?
Oh, okay,
You
I think
understand? So there's that aspect as well. Like, you're in a relationship, everybody knows that. There's some people who are in a relationship where they're now the lords of the rings because they've given you promise ring, they've given you engagement ring, they've given you senior engagement ring. You're now lord of the...
rings. But I think I was fairly young and people could see us moving from one stage to the other. So I guess they knew I was serious enough. So
Yeah.
when by 23 going on 24, I started talking about, oh, I want to get married to him. They're even the ones that are not like, but you're still 23 now, you're still 24. Oh,
Okay,
Niche,
I think I
masters,
remember
ni.
that.
Won't you do this? Won't you do that? So
Yeah.
I think I was the one that even brought it up that, oh, I
Let's
think
get
I'm ready
married.
to get married.
So for me, it was maybe there was no pressure as such, but I remember my dad actually called me as one of those that said, "Okay, so who are you looking at?" And I'm
Wait, was I
like,
in the picture at that time?
"You were in the
Did
picture."
he ask you that question like that?
There was a way he phrased it, like something like, "So who are you looking at?" Or who I'm like, "I'm
I
looking
don't
at to
understand.
Jesus."
Where was I?
Well, I don't think I had introduced you
To
no,
him,
to
okay. Because
them.
I'm like, if dad is asking
So-
you, who are you looking at?
No, you're
Okay.
not. I hadn't introduced you to them yet.
Okay,
yeah,
I
but
see.
we're together.
Okay.
So I think that was just the only thing for me, where I mean, it was like you're done with school, you're making a bit of money and all. So the next and logical
But
thing
why do you
is,
think parents pressure? Because apparently it's very real.
it's,
why
just,
do you
it's not
think-
just parents that pressure.
Okay, but I'm asking, why
Society,
do
friends.
parents pressure? Because I mean, I think if you're close to your parents, though, I think you can get away with friends if you know when you come back to your house there is comfort and you're not having all that pressure
come back to your house and
to your own house.
Okay.
So I mean, I
Okay, I
feel
see
I
what you
can
mean.
deal with friends. Maybe you are going to your house, you are going to your house. But when I come home, I don't have that pressure in my own home and with my own
Oh, that's if
personal
you're still
people.
living with your parents.
Yes.
That is okay.
Yeah. So what do you
Yeah, it's
think?
just, I think that the reason there's a lot of pressure from families and friends is that there's the natural progression of things, right? So when you're a baby, everybody's carrying you. Blah, blah, blah. After a while, it gets annoying that people have to carry you. So you have to start learning to walk by yourself. And after that, you poop on yourself for a while. And after that, people expect for you to say poo poo or pee pee or wee wee or whatever language it is. Then after that, you have to go to school, then primary, secondary school. Then it just looks like the next thing is, can you make your own contribution towards the progression of humanity by
Yeah,
by
but
getting married
I
and
mean,
making babies or something?
but it's like a life decision. If you pee in your diaper or poop in your diaper, it's not.
It's a life decision.
How
No,
is it
you're
a life
messing up the world.
decision?
You're reducing the hygiene quotient of the universe.
But people don't make better decisions
Imagine if
when they're under
everybody in the
pressure.
world were still pooping
But
in
not
their
everybody in the
diapers.
world is pooping in their diapers. Just the same way, not everybody in the world is not getting married.
Well, by the way, let's just be very clear. We're not equating not getting married to pooping in your diapers, so please. That's not the direction. But just to answer the question, people just expect that it's the next thing. Now, what my argument would be is that I don't think that every human being is supposed to marry. That's subjective, that's debatable. But I think that if you are one of those people that really in your heart of hearts, you don't want to get married, not for any ulterior motive, not like you hate men or you hate women or you hate yourself or hate human beings, but you just don't, it's not doing you. I think that you shouldn't carry that cross perpetually
Carry
on
that weight on
that
yourself.
weight, yeah, rather. So I think maybe those people might be 1 out of 100, 1 out of 200, but I believe there's certain people who are not supposed to get married, who don't want to get married, and who shouldn't be forced to get married.
Okay.
So, but let's talk about how do people know that they themselves are ready
To get
for
married.
marriage? Yeah. What are
Okay.
some of the indicators or things that somebody needs to watch out for to say, okay, well, I think I'm good to go in terms of marriage?
I think one of the things would probably be that over time you have consistently demonstrated that you don't have that consistent, needful, emotional, psychological, and mental tie or fallback to your family. So you have to make a major life decision. I must ask my parents.
Okay.
I'm working on a project. They must give me the capital. If I'm sad or feeling low, I need to go to family house. You don't need that constant, like you say, the umbilical cord needs to be cut. So if I know, yes, I have healthy relationships with them, but I can, in quote, stand on my own and I'm ready to now, in quote, connect this umbilical cord to this other person, I think that's a good sign
So
to know
that's
that you're
that's one
getting
of the
married.
signs, healthy independence, if I
Yes.
can use that. So
Yeah.
you're not on the tether of daddy said, mommy said, uncle is saying, auntie is wishing. So that sense of individuality that is healthy. We're not talking about being rebellious or, as they will
Yeah.
say, Osanle or Osan
Yeah, or
London.
shutting people off or shutting people out.
Yeah, so that's there. I think that also having a sense of definition about your identity regarding the world or the future, purpose, essentially, having a sense of direction,
Okay.
because marriage is not an end in itself.
It's a
Marriage is
mean.
supposed to be a godly partnership that allows you to accelerate God's plans and purposes for your life. So
Okay.
if you're going to get married, then understand that this marriage is not the trophy, it's not the prize, it's not the end point.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people just feel like having that new degree, MRS, Masters in Residential Studies.
So what next? Now that you're married, what
Yes.
next? I think it's something we should actually talk about as well.
Now that you're married.
What is the essence of marriage? Now that you're married, so
Yes. So there must be a sense of purpose. What are we coming into partnership together
To
for?
do, to
And by
achieve.
partnership, it's not just financial. It could be that. It may not be financial, but emotional partnership, heart partnership, mental partnership, spiritual partnership, a merging of our lives, a fusion of our souls for the purpose of delivering on a divine mandate or assignment. Isn't that so?
Yep, brilliant. So what other thing I think I had for me, I had read and I had attended a lot of single conferences and single seminars. So when people will give practical examples or talk about experiences, married people or single people, I began to have pictures in my head. Then it gave me material and content with which I could have healthy conversations with you about and ask questions. always say this. Pastor Bimbo always used to say, courtship is not a time for intercourse, it's a time for discussion and
Discussion.
interview. So at
Yeah.
these programs, I could come back and say, okay, babe, how about this? I heard this. And then
Yeah.
ask intelligent questions.
Yeah.
And so once I got feedback, I said, okay, can we work with this? Can I work with this? Can I live with this? Okay, yeah, we're good to go. Yep.
All right. There's so many other things we're going to talk about, and let me just introduce it by saying that you must be able to handle self or handle yourself before you get married. We're going to develop that point and expound on it when we're back right after this break. Welcome back, guys. We had an amazing time earlier, just sharing a couple of thoughts on some of the things that will be or that are healthy indicators for preparedness for marriage. And we signed off by talking about self, or by introducing the talk on, or the topic or the theme of self. The idea for me is that anybody who has not learned, at least to a considerable degree, to handle self is not ready for a progressive, fruitful, sustainable, enjoyable, blissful marriage. Yeah, what that simply means is the marriage is not for self-aggrandizement or aggrandizement. It's not for self-promotion. It's not for self-ambition and all of that. That there's a major dimension of sacrifice that's involved in marriage. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people today want to get married because of status, expectation, money, career advancement, just to look responsible. I know somebody who said that, you know what, I need to get married because I need to go for those highbrow meetings where people say I'm a responsible man.
What?
Yes. Because there are certain people that will not really relate with you except they feel like you're married to somebody. You know, that's actually very true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you haven't learned to handle self, I don't think you're ready for marriage. And if you haven't learned to handle yourself, as in taking responsibility. So there are some adults who always have to consult other people
To
for
make decisions.
decisions. Yeah, I want to buy a laptop. Should I buy this brand or that brand? I want to buy a tablet. Should I buy the peel or should I buy the electronic device tablets? Right? They're always oscillating and vacillating between what other people think. So if you're operating in that zone, I don't think you're ready to be responsible for somebody else's life.
Okay, so how about self in the from the angle of, how will I explain it now? Your spouse wanting something else, preferring something else, or you making a personal sacrifice so that your spouse can be better, or your husband can have this or that, or your children. So for example, I don't know why examples are not coming to my head now, but in terms of, maybe you used to go out a lot and now you have to cut back on that, or you used to save so much for yourself, but now you have a husband and you have children, you can't save so much for yourself. So have there been personal sacrifices, or are there times when I have actually been the one to wrong you, but you actually have to be the one to calm down first
Of
and
course.
hear me out and say sorry or stuff like that? So what practical ways do you have to control self
Okay,
to live
that's a very
harmoniously?
good example. I guess that there's so many examples of this particular scenario that, and I believe it's vice versa. I mean, both ways. So definitely, things as simple as apologizing. So somebody said that a healthy marriage is one in which both parties have learned to say sorry even when there's no reason to. That's like
Saying
learn
sorry in
to,
advance.
yeah, just been even when you feel like I'm not the one
At blame.
at blame. There's a reason we said
Inside
that.
joke.
Yeah, I'm not the one to fault. I'm not the one to blame. I'm not the one at fault. Yeah, because a part of you dies when you feel like I am right and she is wrong. We'll talk about conflict resolution
Yeah.
in another episode. But it starts with things like that. So if you've not maybe lived with somebody else before, or you've not gone to boarding school or boarding house, where one nasty senior will come and say, "Hey, you junior," like in my school at some point, this is called junior, but it's Poppy. Imagine that,
What? But that's
Poppy.
that's now
I
degrading.
know.
That's now
But I'm just saying
degrading.
that some of those examples just allow you have a bigger scope of the world than this my safe and comfortable environment where my dad and my mom are always pampering me. So I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that those kind of things sort of like thicken your skin and allow you to know that life is not all cherry cake and pineapple juice.
Okay, but so why is it important for you to, in quote, lay down your life for your? How does that create harmony and progress and peace in your home?
Okay, there are different ways to look at it, but for me, I believe that no life, as it were, is in its highest obtainable form yet, as in that every idea, conversation, thought, suggestion is still can be improved upon.
Okay.
And because you're also an idea, in a manner of speaking, you're an evolving idea, you're God's idea, but you're evolving. There are different dimensions to you that will never come to light until you shared the comfort of this current space. So I use an example of communication or sensitivity and empathy. I'm a lot more sensitive, a lot more empathetic, right?
Yeah.
now than I was before I got married. And that's because I've lived with this woman who has helped, when I say this woman, with this beautiful lady, who has helped me.
Who again? I mean, is it that taxi driver that put people in his car? Who again?
And nobody could say them. But I've lived with you, and so I know that, okay, you don't just assume people are fine. You don't just assume people will get over it. You don't just assume that people understand what you're trying to do. So that has taken me sacrificing a part of my hardcore analytical, get the facts together, all be logical from morning till night. A part of me has had to die. So if you're not ready for some kind of editing or at least proofreading in your life, maybe you're not ready to get married.
True.
Because if you're going to be exactly the same throughout the duration of your marriage, you've wasted that person's experience, perspective, and wisdom. And also wasted a part of your time that could have been devoted to malleability and teachability.
I think it's absolutely impossible to at least touch on the whole submission or listening to a man when it comes to dying to self and being ready to get married. So for a woman, your husband is your head, and I know it's a different topic altogether, but Christ is the head of man. So
God is the
God
head
is
of
head of
Christ.
Christ. So
Christ is the head of
Christ
man.
is submitted to God. Christ is the head of man. So the man is submitted to God. And then man is the head of woman. And so you're submitted to this man. Not in a domineering relationship, but in a love, responsibility, and functionality kind of relationship.
Yes.
Right? So if I always tell women, the man you're getting married to, you are getting married to his decision-making skills. So you must have watched his track record over time, over your time of courting, which is another reason I don't endorse 3 months and get married.
Yeah.
You need to see him in different scenarios and different seasons of his life and how he makes decisions. Can you deal with this? Can you say yes to this? Can you agree with this? Because if you can't, you're not ready for at least a peaceful marriage. You might be ready for a marriage, but one with a lot of fights and family meetings and
Negotiations and
somebody
third-party
going out of the house and
interventions.
not coming back till 2 a.m. in the morning kind of marriage.
Just to avoid the space.
Yeah, so I think that's very important that you can listen to the man and say yes to him, even
Yes.
when in your heart you really want to say no.
Yes. That's very brilliant. And it brings us to another point of, are you a man worth following? As in, if you a man and you want to get married, would you look at your life? If you look outside of yourself and look at yourself, would you admire yourself enough to say, I want to follow this guy? Because if you don't, then that possibly means you still have some work to do on yourself, and that you will be endangering a woman who wants to, follow you. And then if you're a woman, you also want to look at the fact that, or this perspective, am I a woman worth partnering with for greater value?
Yeah.
Not just partnering with, but as a woman, am I bringing enough value, perspective, wisdom, sacrifice, nurturing, ideas, intelligence, prayer, love, endearment to the space to be able to magnify whatever it is that comes with the marriage I'm looking at? So I think that a part of it, being ready for marriage, has to do with self-awareness,
Yeah.
deep introspection, and also the place of what God is saying to you and how God is assessing you, operating on you. We'll talk more about the God factor in terms of preparedness for marriage after this break. So we spoke earlier about taking responsibility for yourself, being able to handle self-sacrifice, and all of that. But there's a very important part of it, which is God. Yeah, because at the end of the day, whilst many cultures and many philosophies have their own angle or slant to marriage, marriage is God ordained, marriage is God's idea, and there is a template, that God has for marriage. So the very first marriage that we know about, Adam and Eve, from the story of creation, Adam and Eve, the very first marriage, this man was sleeping when God brought his wife to him. So I think that in readiness for marriage, there's a dimension of peace that you need to have. You don't get married from a place of agitation or competition or vexation. Like, all my friends don't they marry, make a marry too now. I go to have now. I don't shy before, but this time around, me I no go agree for
I
anybody.
don't think anybody thinks like
People think
this.
like
I
that in their
don't
minds.
think
That's like
anybody
the
thinks
voice in their
like
mind.
this.
Okay, but maybe not that dramatic. But people feel like, all my friends are getting married. People do that.
Yeah, I believe. I
All my
believe.
friends are getting married. So is there a bubble? Even if it's not a bubble, if it's just a bob.
You bob you away in life.
Do you understand? So peace. You need peace in your space, because the thing about peace is that it allows you make better judgment.
Yeah.
So
You
you're
see
not
clearer.
desperate. You're not under pressure. Number two is that this man was worked on by God, because God took a rib out of him. So I think you're not ready to marry until God has worked on you. You're not ready to be someone's husband if you've not been subjected to a divine process. And then God works on the bone and fleshes it out and becomes a woman. Now, many people who are trying to get married are bones. They've not yet become woman or Eve.
Yeah.
And when you marry a
Hard.
bone, it will choke
To
you in
choke
the
you.
choke you. choke. Yeah. So don't marry a bone. Marry a woman. What does that mean? Don't marry just a slim bit of what God is yet to work on. Let God flesh them out. Don't hijack somebody's daughter, elope, and go and marry in the name of what they call that, and destination. It's amazing that it's possible for you to have a destination marriage and still miss out your destination in life.
Hashtag Rema go to church offering moment.
Nothing against destination marriage, but just make sure that you have the major destination. And checking for one of our friends during Chef Freg's marriage, he said something. He said, I told all my friends I'm not doing any destination marriage again, because the last one I did, the marriage dissolved in maybe I think less than a year or something.
wow.
So it's like I spent my money, I flew out of the country and all of that.
But it doesn't mean if you do destination, like you already said,
No,
it
no,
won't
it
work
doesn't.
out.
It doesn't mean. But just keep the main thing the main thing, and then at the end of the day, the person sees the woman, and it was Adam that said, "Woman, this is the bone of my bone." It was not even God that said. So that means that there must be a sense of personal ownership of the process, not just like my uncle liked this girl, Emeka or Bayo. I see that girl now.
He's a decent
Check 'em,
man.
check 'em.
He's a
He's
nice
decent,
man.
a nice
He's
man.
responsible.
Of course, people can prompt you. People can suggest. People can introduce, but own the process.
On the decision.
Yeah, don't make it feel as if
Yes.
my auntie suggested somebody.
It's very
and I-
important because you are going to live with this person for the rest of your life. So you need to be
Absolutely.
absolutely satisfied and comfortable with
True.
this person.
Yes.
So a lot of people say things like that. Oh, my pastor said they saw a vision, they had a dream. My mother said that when we were young, they had spoken to our parents that we were best friends when we were young, so we're going to get married.
True.
But how do you feel about this person now?
Yes.
Do you genuinely like this person, love this person? Are you attracted to this person? Yeah, so this person can be a good friend or a mentor or a brother, someone
Yeah.
that will connect you to the job you're going to have in the next
Yes,
2 years. So I think
absolutely.
it's important to define who these men are in your life. Not
True.
everybody that is close to you or that you had a thing with in the past or that your parents have spoken over your heads about is your
Come on,
husband.
you're right.
So you need to define the man.
That's brilliant. And just to piggyback what you said, the truth is somebody can be a great mentor and a lousy husband.
I'm telling you.
Somebody can be a fantastic pastor and a terrible father. In fact, somebody can be a great husband but be a lousy father in certain regards. Because when it comes to, my wife and all of that, I got it together.
But this extra
Yeah.
baggage, I didn't plan
So
for it.
if you're attracted because she's good with money, make sure that she's better at other things than just money. Because what you're going to need in your marriage is not an accountant.
in all phases
all
and
phases.
cycles, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can't exhaust this, and we'll possibly still have another episode where we'll talk more about it. But for what we have, I think that if you go through some of those pointers, you'll be well on your way to making a right decision. Tell us what you think about what we've discussed today, your experiences, your stories, whether you're married or not. Share in the comment box below. There's a lot of engagement going on right now, and somebody's been enriched by your experience. So if you know somebody who loves love,
Or someone who is in love
or somebody who's praying to find love,
or praying that love finds them,
tag them, hashtag them, send this video link to them, and let them be a part of this growing conversation that we have about love, snoring, and other things, and everything, marriage and relationships and lifestyle. Until the next time that we see you.